Welcome to Tech Wells. We can see how investment can be for a startup, even for the investor that is investing in any startup. Join us every Friday, 12 p.m. West African time, as we discuss everything about startup investment in the world of blockchain, crypto, and fintech in Africa, only on Coin Users TV.
Yeah, good day, everyone. It's beautiful, a very beautiful Saturday afternoon here in Lagos State, Nigeria. So I'm your host, Lee, and this is Coin Users TV, blockchain and cryptocurrency panel discussion. So we are going to be talking about amazing topic, what is really happening in Nigeria at the moment. So I don't know if you have not really heard, for those that are not familiar with what is really happening. We see Nigeria is currently facing inflation, and the Naira, which is the local currency of Nigeria, is going very low. It's crashing against the US dollars. And we see a lot of measures that the Central Bank of Nigeria is taking to caution this, to control this inflation, and one of them is about the industry, the cryptocurrency currency industry. So we are going to be looking at Nigeria's crypto landscape, navigating the central bank's recent clampdown on P2P and OTC exchanges in Nigeria. In case you don't know where to get the latest information, do well to follow Coin Users TV at all social media platforms at Coin Users TV. So I'll be welcoming our guests who are joining us for this conversation. We have industry leaders, self-regulatory bodies, leaders who are going to be making their inputs in this particular topic and what is really happening in the crypto space in Nigeria. But before I welcome them, we'll go for a quick break. When we return, I'll welcome them, then we'll proceed to the conversation proper. Please do not go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back to the show. It's still Coin Users TV, blockchain and cryptocurrency panel discussion. So we're going to be welcoming our guests. We have 4 guests currently that have joined us is 2. I'll welcome to the panel session Mr. Chuta Chimeze, who is the founder of Blockchain Nigeria User Group. It's a pleasure to have you, sir, Mr. Chuta.
Yeah, good morning.
I don't know if you...
Yeah, can you hear me?
Thank you very much. It's our pleasure to have you. And also joining him on this panel is Mr. Obina Iwuno, who is the President, Stakeholders and Blockchain Association of Nigeria. It's our pleasure to have you, sir, Mr. Obina. Okay, it's like he's having some network issues. We were also expecting to join on the session Mr. Lucky Wakwe, founder Sabi Groups, and Chico Okonkwo, co-founder Gamic. While we wait for them to join, I'll be getting some input from our guest who is available, Mr. Chuta Chimeze. Before that, please do remember, if you're joining us anywhere you're joining us from, we'll be expecting your questions. If you have questions or any contribution to what we are discussing this afternoon, please do where to drop the questions on the comment section. We'll be getting to that audience session where we'll be able to get your questions and ask our panelists, and also we will be bringing some viewers on board to air their voice on what is really going on. So, Mr. Chuta, let's look at some of the overview. Can you provide an overview of the recent actions taken by the Central Bank of Nigeria regarding cryptocurrency exchanges, particularly on this P2P? What is really happening, sir?
All right, thank you so much, Coinnews Extra, for the opportunity. I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk about this. Most of what I'll be saying are things that are allegedly done. I have no first-hand verification, so we pick some of these news on social media and elsewhere. Okay, so I know last 1 week or so, there's been fingers pointed at the crypto market as being the key drivers of the upward trend of the naira against the dollar. Okay, and that has spurred a whole lot of actions by the different government agencies concerned. First of all, we heard that the Central Bank of Nigeria tried to restrict access to crypto exchanges, especially Binance, as the case where, because they are the largest exchange that is operating in Nigeria. And of course, a lot of people think that access to most of those crypto exchange websites were no longer available to them on their mobile devices. Some also say that they are still able to access the mobile apps. Okay, so whichever the case is clear that there was an attempt by government agencies to clamp down on crypto exchanges, accusing them of being the key platform where people speculate crypto against the USDT crypto against Nigerian naira. Now, whether or not thing that I leave to them alone to justify, but we all know that before Binance came into Nigeria, there has been a lot of upward ride of the naira against the dollar in the black market. What I want to say is that some people don't like taking responsibility for their action or inaction, and blame game is a common thing that people like to do. So I think what they are trying to do is they want to shift the blame of managing the economy, managing the physical policy of the naira, managing the overall policies value of the naira. You know, they want to shift to the crypto. We as an industry, we know that it is not true. It's not so, because we've been here for a while. We're not born today. So I remember in 2015, a dollar was barely exchanging for 167 naira in Nigeria here, and that's just about 8 years ago or thereabout. And you see where we are today. That 2015, there was no Binance. There was no Binance. Binance is just 3 years old, if I might, I think this year will make them 4 years, thereabout. Okay, so we have seen this constant struggle with naira, against dollar, and we've not seen any deliberate attempt to change that status quo. Now, let me tell you the three key things that everybody knows that affect the value of naira. Okay, if I may. First of all, we have what we call foreign direct investment. If we don't have people finding confidence in our national policies and our economic climate, they're not likely to come in here to invest. That's the first one. Second, we know that Nigeria used to export as much as 2.4 billion of crude oil every day, and that's our main source of dollar. Today we are exporting about 1.3 or 1.2 billion dollars per day. That means over $1 million is being either stolen or is not being exported. So it completely reduces the amount of dollar that we have. Thirdly, we also know that when there are manufacturing and we have high export of commodities, you also earn a lot of foreign exchange through that. We see that the infrastructure in Nigeria is in a bad shape. We don't have electricity. The roads are all bad. The everything that helps you to build products and manufacture in Nigeria is too difficult. I mean, you know how many foreign companies that have left Nigeria in the last 1 year? These companies were manufacturing, they were exporting, they were galvanizing the economy, and most of these things are not there. Okay, and you see that our institutions like hospitals, like educational institutions and all that, they're all in their need of overhaul, and people choose to go abroad to go and school, to go and take medical vacation, or to just go for outright medical treatment. So these things have addressed, and you are looking at crypto exchanges, which is just a symptom as the cause. Is completely disheartening, to be honest with you.
Distribution it is there. You will see most of these actions by the central bank is really channeled towards, I know it's affecting other OTC P2P platforms, and it is really, though the hammer is really falling hard on Binance because they are the forefront. I don't know if, can you hear me, Mr. Obina? I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes,
Mr. Obina, can you hear me?
hear you.
Okay. Let's now hear from you about what is really happening. Seeing how all this thing is happening, Nigeria is leading on when it comes to P2P. We have a large market over here. What are the potential implications of the central bank's clampdown on P2P OTC exchanges for cryptocurrency in Nigeria? How might it affect adoption rates, investors' sentiment, and innovation in the country? Hello, Mr. Obina.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead. Did you hear me? Did you get the question?
Yes, there's been there's networks.
Okay, Mr. Chike, can you hear me? Oh, talk issues. Okay, Mr. Lucky, can you hear me? Are you with us?
Yes, I can hear you. I think.
Okay, you are welcome to the show. Nice to have you. I don't know if you got the question I was asking. Looking at what is really happening in Nigeria, how is this? We are leading when it comes to P2P volumes globally. How are these actions of the Central Bank of Nigeria going to affect adoption rates, investor sentiment, and innovation in the country when it comes to cryptocurrency?
Okay, first I need to correct something. I think it's probably a wrong assumption. Nigeria is not necessarily leading in P2P in terms of volume, but of course, in terms of adoption, yes. It's just like saying 100 people, out of 100 people, 17 Nigerians out of 100 Nigerians have tried crypto. But that doesn't mean if the 70 people come together and they will look at their trade volume, that will surpass another country that's probably just having 20 people currently trading. So Nigeria does not necessarily lead globally in terms of trade volume in that regards. But from adoption, yes. Now, because of the adoption rate and how young Nigerians who have flocked to this industry, either as a means of being self-employed or as a means of any extra source of income and taking away the burden from the government, this action greatly would impact on them. I can tell you for free that if the government continue with the with this level of crackdown to a point that virtually, let's say, all the people who are depending on this industry lose out, or to a point where everybody who's depending on this industry stop whatever work, both the legitimate and the illegitimate ones, because clearly I can't shy away from the fact that there are no illegitimate things happening in the space. Yes, there are the concerns raised by the government in the area of order book manipulation is real, and it's not just a Nigerian factor. It is virtually everywhere when it comes to order book manipulation within the crypto space. And I think any other space where assets are traded in this manner, there's always concern for order book manipulation. So yes, government on its own part also have a duty to say we can help rid or clean this industry of the bad actors while allowing the good ones thrive, so that we don't throw away the baby with the bathwater kind of scenario. And due to, again, that Nigeria lead from the perspective of African side of things, that is both in terms of volume and both in terms of adoption, while of course adoption rate, Nigeria leads among the top 5 globally per se. And due to these high numbers, it clearly shows something. It shows that the young people of Africa have adopted the technology for good, and it's not a question of whether or not they want to be part of it. Already they are part of it. And because of also the fact that Africa holds the highest young population, so it is natural for us to see Africa be among that map for a technology that is more akin or peculiar to younger generation. And there is no continent that have younger population like Africa. So it makes a lot of sense when they say Nigeria leads in that aspect due to our young, vibrant population at the end of the day. If there is anything I would want as a key takeaway, or the fact that government cannot operate in this manner and get the maximum result. Maybe they might get some level of semblance of results, which is true. We're already seeing some level of impact. But I personally do not believe that the impact we're seeing, let's say as a result of the Naira correcting or gaining value from around 1,800 or 1,900 to somewhere about 1,500, I learned based on the last time I tried to confirm, right? We didn't see that correction because, let's say Binance was shut down. We didn't see that correction necessarily because the crypto people no longer buy or sell crypto amongst themselves for fiat. Rather, I think part of the advantage of seeing that correction is as a result of a simultaneous work being done by the Central Bank of Nigeria in cracking and regulating the Bureau de Change people. It is important that we push the blame where it ought to be, all right, so that they don't take the crypto industry or the blockchain space as a real scapegoat here. Bureau de Change cannot apportion blame to the crypto people just like that. I read one article by the president of Bureau de Change at sometimes last month or late January, where they say that their people, operators, are now looking out for their rates in Binance, knowing fully well that Bureau de Change is a market that is regulated, or at least ought to be regulated by the central bank. They get their Naira, their dollars sometimes from the central bank at a particular rate, and have been giving guidelines of how much and by what parameters they should sell based on what they buy. And now they left that angle, or they left that guidelines, and decide to buy or sell in accordance to what they claim, in quote, that they see on Binance. That is irresponsibility on the part of regulators as well, for having not checkmated them and allowing them just fly in that order. And because they have taken this advantage, they now try to say, oh no, we're not the one responsible. It's because we could still see the rate anywhere. Now, thanks to God, the rate is no more there because in terms of visibility, but we still see that the Naira has not corrected.
Mr. Lucky, do you think the actions of the Central Bank of Nigeria towards the crypto industry, OTC, is in the right direction and the right timing?
Okay, I think the action of the Central Bank of Nigeria is in place in terms of its original role of managing fiscal and monetary policy, right? But in timing wise, I don't think there's ever a good time to implement something, especially when you see that there is error or there's concern in that space. There's never a good time. Like so long as you act is the right time. There's no need of procrastinating or delaying on that aspect. But let's not misquote something here. The arrest is not as a result of the Central Bank of Nigeria, right? It's primarily by the National Security Advisor, though, of course, in conjunction with the Central Bank of Nigeria, just to also follow up with things.
Over to Mr. Obina. You are the CBAN President, Stakeholders and Blockchain Association of Nigeria as well. Let's look at the regulations around what is happening in the crypto space. We see the Central Bank of Nigeria lifting the ban. That was late last year. That was around December last year. And also they brought out licensing procedures and all the rest of them. And now we are seeing these ones coming. How do you perceive the regulatory environment so far due to what CBN is doing now? What are the uncertainties? What are we expecting? Do you think the guidelines are going to stand the licensing?
All right. For the guidelines that the CBN issued out after lifting the ban, one of the things that we have not seen is the implementation of the guidelines, because the ban has been lifted and now you have allowed virtual asset service providers, money service businesses in the crypto space to start owning bank accounts. But we have never seen the implementation roadmap, right? Lifting the ban was a good thing, and it sends a very positive message about Nigeria and, of course, the digital assets ecosystem to both the users and, of course, interested investors. Like Mr. Chuta mentioned, you need to have FDI flowing in, right? You need to have liquidity flowing in. No nation ever built an industry, a sector, 100% by themselves. If any sector or ecosystem is to grow, any industry whatsoever is to grow, there has to be that external inflow, there has to be that external support. And what informs or would propel those external supports is the positive message that it sends out when investors see that they are able to come in, participate without any undue hindrances or restrictions, then they are going to come. When your laws are clear, when your regulations are clear, they are going to come. Because the truth is, nobody is anti-regulation. The reason why nobody is anti-regulation and nobody should be anti-regulation is that regulation protects you. So, give you an example. FTS shut down. Nigerians lost money. But there was nothing we could do about it. The reason why we couldn't do anything about it is there is no sort of regulation for Nigerian investors. There is no regulation protecting Nigerian investors. And this is the reason why we have always called for regulation of the industry. Because we as practitioners, we as investors, we as users get protected now. Because tomorrow we might become the victim of the industry. And if there is no regulation, then we are ultimately sacrificed. So when the CBN has lifted the ban on crypto transactions with financial institutions, it was a very good thing. The guidelines, though there is room for improvements on the guidelines, we have yet to see the process of implementing those guidelines. And so far, I have not recorded any beneficiary of the guidelines. Nobody has been able to obtain the license so far that I know. If there is anybody that has obtained the license or any corporate entity, you can let us know. But for me, I do not know of any corporate entity that has obtained a license. Now, there needs to be a harmonization of this structure between the CBN and the SEC. And the reason is this: to avoid excess licensing, because who exactly are we getting the license from? And exactly what license do we need? You cannot have a sector that is being regulated by maybe 2, 3 entities, and then you will need to get license 1, license 2, license 3. There has to be a harmonization. And then another thing that needs to also be looked into is, how does this license protect the local industry? How does it protect indigenous investors and operators, founders who are Nigerians? Because if you say that I am getting a license for, say, for example, $10,000, and that is the flat rate for the licensing, how do you protect me against foreign competition and, foreign entities who would have more liquidity, more financial war chest, and who will not contribute to the growth of our economy as much as I would as an indigenous player? Because these are the things to look at. What laws do we have in place that are even protecting the indigenous players, and also that are binding to the foreign players when they come in? We want a fair playing field. We want a leveled ground where everybody can participate equally. But we also want to see the support of our regulators, our policymakers, towards the Nigerian ecosystem. That means regulation should not become a hindrance to innovation, because what we are seeing now is a situation where innovation can be hampered if it is not addressed quickly. So we need to really look at how regulation and innovation are harmonized for growth.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obina, for the contribution. Let me, I know, Mr. Chike, you are still here, but let me first of all go back to Mr. Chuta. Let's look at Binance now. We see the role Binance has really dominated the crypto market, not only in Nigeria, globally. And we see yesterday we are seeing reports that Nigeria fined Binance $10 billion. And today we are seeing another one from Binance and the government about the 10 billion. The rep saying that he was misinterpreted, and Binance are stating that they are not even in conversation about any penalty and all that. Do you think there's going to be do you think Binance is coming back to Nigeria, or these things are going to be resolved with Nigeria and Binance anytime soon? What's your take on this, sir?
Okay. Thank you, Coiners Extra. I think we're still where we were before, because what I can tell you that actually has significantly happened is the Naira dollar trading pair for P2P in Nigeria has been yanked off from Binance platform, but that Binance is still in Nigeria. Okay, so I don't think this is going to in any way affect what happens in crypto, Binance or not Binance. But I want to tell you something, that among all the exchanges that you have in the world, Binance is the only exchange that significantly invested in education, in driving awareness, in employing people directly or indirectly. Remember that Nigeria is an environment where you have high unemployment rate. And that high unemployment rate is something that government is not even looking at. Directly, Binance is employing hundreds of people. Binance is enabling thousands of people to also have what they do. Either they are trading the crypto, speculating in, or they are in the P2P market. Okay, so these people are nation builders themselves. They are people who have invested in this country directly and indirectly. Okay, so they are not like people who just came in to grab something and get out. But let me tell you one thing. Millions of Nigerians use Binance and crypto exchanges in Nigeria. And among that millions, you have youths, you have people in government, you have politicians, you have a whole lot of organizations that are, you see, crypto is a decentralized network of asset, and no one is restricted from it. And I don't think there's any time Nigeria started playing a second fiddle, or will say that they lost out in the opportunity. So we all dived in, politicians dived in, everybody dived in. So when they talk about the $26 billion dollars that have passed through Binance, you have to understand that it may not be ordinary young Nigerians who are just trading $500 here, $1,000 here, $200 here, $20 here that made up that amount of money. Those are kind of, if truly they pass through Binance, come from institutions, from high network individuals. And it's not like when you take it to Binance, Binance is collected. Remember that Binance P2P is free. You have to understand that. Before you trade with Binance, there's a button there. They'll tell you, trade now for free. In other words, the exchanges that go on in a P2P format within Binance is free of charge. Binance makes zero from that P2P transaction because they are only moving asset from one ledger, from one Excel sheet to another Excel sheet within their environment. They only pay transaction fee on Binance when you transfer crypto from their platform to another platform, not when you do P2P. So you can't even hold them and say that, you people made money out of this 26 billion. No. These are, they created an environment, they wrote a smart contract escrow to enable people to trade and exchange value on their platform and maintain trust and moderate it. That's all that they did. And that thing is what helps most Nigerians to make money on the platform. Binance makes no money out of it. Okay, so we will be the ones that will suffer if exchanges like that shut us out. Of course, there are local exchanges in Nigeria that will want to also patronize. Yes, let their platforms also build quality products so the Nigerians will be happy to use them. So I'll stop at that for now.
Konkwo, you are welcome. He's the co-founder Gemic. Chike, let me ask you these questions. I know for now much of the attention is on Binance. So let's look at how OTC and local OTC and P2P platforms are responding. How do you think they are responding, or how do you think they will respond to these actions by the Central Bank of Nigeria? That's number one. Secondly, the next question, do you think Binance leaving the P2P market in Nigeria for now is a good one for the local P2P platforms if they are not being targeted as well in Nigeria?
Okay, yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. Please go ahead.
Okay, I didn't get the second question correctly.
The second question, do you think Binance leaving the P2P market in Nigeria is a good one for the local P2P platforms in Nigeria?
Okay, I'll take the first question. I think I will advise every local player who is playing, including myself, who runs the company, that also has on-ramp, off-ramp for Nigerians. Just be prepared because the volumes that have left Binance is going to look for where to go to. And kudos to the government, they have given an opportunity for more people to be scammed. A lot of people will look for WhatsApp groups, a lot of people will look for Telegram groups, and they are likely to lose money because that's a very risky place to go to. The volumes that have left Binance will look for other places to go to. So local players should, if you know you're building quality product and you have a quality product, just make sure your platform is ready for the kind of volumes that will come. For Binance and the P2P, I don't like to play blame game for anything. Like, I'll go back to what Obina talked about. Regulation is good for the industry. Regulation is supposed to first of all even protect the home-based players and also the users. If we have had quality and effective regulation, we will not have to fight if Binance P2P is a problem for us local players and all of that. There will be guidelines on how foreign-based companies that are coming to play here will be able to play easily and freely without affecting the businesses of what home-based local builders. Like what's it called? Mr. Chuta talked about. A lot of the problems we face here, we know where it has come from, and I think Binance is the least of the government's problems. Has Binance taken a lot of the volumes? Their platform has they built a very very robust and amazing platform. They did the groundwork. They gave our people the jobs to do the work. Our people gave them the what's it called strategies on how they will be able to serve this market better, and they implemented these strategies. I don't think they are the problem. I just feel like if the government has listened to us as stakeholders, this will not be where we are today. They will not be looking for a Binance to blame. The volumes of Binance are not the crypto players that I know. And there's something, listen to the interview, the CBN governor said the people who are doing these transactions are almost invisible. You almost do not know them. Binance is a centralized exchange, for crying out loud. Do your research, do the job. The people on these platforms, before you become a P2P merchant on Binance, you need to what? Go through some certain processes. Binance has to do their own check and, to know who you are. Whether you are a company or anything, you must provide those documents. And before they make you a certified merchant on the platform, then also we as other individuals who are just coming to use it for our activities, you must have what? A centralized verified account on the Binance platform. So I don't believe them coming here to tell us they don't know people doing this transaction and all of that. And secondly, I will advise the people who were arrested should be released. There's no need. Binance is not really our problem. Our problem, I'm an economist by training. The variables that will make the economy thrive, our currency move from where it is to a more favorable point. We have not tackled the issues. We have a lot of unnecessary spending and waste in the country from we know who. And I feel we should charity has to begin at home first of all, before we start pointing accusing fingers at industries that are still trying to grow. So for home-based players, our advice, make sure you begin to put your platform up to this, because all of these volumes will look for where to go to. And I would advise people who are looking for where to go to, beware of where you go to. Look for platforms that are credible. And for Binance, I don't feel Binance has been a problem for us. If regulation is there to help home entrepreneurs who are playing in this space, I believe everybody will play together. What they are doing now, they are sending the wrong message to investors. We're already saying that we don't even have investors into our industry. Now, with this has happened, tell me why more investors who have been still trying to show interest will not run. So they are creating more problems than solving a problem.
Much, Mr. Shike there. It has really been an insightful one so far. We still have a few questions, and very soon we'll be taking some questions from our audience, and also if there are people that want to lend their voice, we can also bring them on as the program goes further. But right about now, we'll go for a very short break. When we return, we'll continue with the conversation. Please do not go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back to the show. It's still CoinNews Extra TV, our panel discussion on blockchain and cryptocurrency. So we've been talking about Nigeria's crypto landscape, navigating the central bank's recent clampdown on P2P and OTC exchanges in Nigeria. So far we've been able to have an insightful conversations. And if you are viewing us from any of the platforms, we are live across the 4 channels. We are live on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and also on Facebook. Whichever place you're joining us from, do well to drop your questions, suggestions if you have any. So let's proceed with the conversation. Let me go back to you, Mr. Lucky Wakwe. Let's do some comparison here. Let's compare what regulation in Nigeria with other countries, and also let's look at what is happening in Nigeria. Do you think because of I know US fined Binance at that should be $4.6 billion thereabouts. I don't know the exact figure, but I know it's 4 point something $billion there. Do you think Nigeria is trying to participate in their own national cake? And also, what is really happening when it comes to regulations in Nigeria? Can we compare it with how others are really doing it outside Nigeria and even outside Africa?
Okay, so I don't. I think yes, Nigeria is taking a cue from what has happened in the United States regarding finding Binance for certain violations, and also Binance agreeing to a plea bargain alongside with the CEO of Binance, and they are willing to pay. That's part of why they accepted the plea bargain anyway. Yes, Nigeria is taking a cue from it to a large extent. They believe if Binance can make such heavy fine, or probably the most heftiest fine they've seen to any company, I think, as of today, if I'm not mistaken, single one-time fine to any private company. Yes, Nigeria is taking a cue from that. But what Nigeria has failed to understand is that the case of what happened with Binance and the United States required some years of thorough work, some years of investigation by the DOJ, some years of investigation by the SEC, where they could even go as far as even getting internal memos, communication leaks, how Binance and their employees tried to manipulate the market and also violated some certain laws in the United States. And they could prove that because there is a connection between the actions of what Binance and their employees have done versus what their law says in relation to that particular incident, especially where the platform is not just a platform, but corroborators of certain actions that should they were violated, right? So that's the amount of work that the US have done in relation to, of course, we always see the constant harm of the SEC and how the US SEC, how they follow up with things there. All of these cumulatively puts or gave United States that advantage to go for such fine. Nigeria, in our own context, I don't know the amount of work that has been done, but if perhaps that amount of work has been done, I believe they should have started, saying them by now. The way we could tell in the case of when DOJ started news around market manipulations, news around how employees of Binance benefited through, before they list a project, how some of them would, go by behind the scenes and wait for the project to be listed and then cash out. And some of those employees were fired and some were fined and all that. So if the Nigerian government or the authorities is currently doing that or have done that, probably they would likely, mention that now. But for now, we've not seen anything of such. Our regulations, again, in the country have not been like that of the other nations. I say that from a point of a patriotic citizens, right, where we fail to put the right laws in place. It's almost like as if the SEC have not really done the best of work. They did not understand the peculiarity of what the industry holds. If you look at how some of the exchanges or platforms like Coinbase, Grayscale, and so many other bigger participating companies within the space, what they did to SEC in the US, you could tell that even when the SEC did not like the fact that they would approve it, but because certain principles or certain things have been met, they had no choice but to, let it go or let it be. And it happened that today we have a crypto ETF or Bitcoin ETF, place like the US. Though Nigerian market is not necessarily mature for such level of ETFs, but the general rule or the most basic rule that would have even guided operations here, and or some sort of what we call innovative type of guidelines to ensure that the industry grow and also without bad players have not really been put in place. The closest we had based on the last year's announcement.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lucky. Sorry, because of our time, I'll have to cut you short. I have a very important question that I want to ask, and I will start with you to make your own input, and before others make their own input. I know the three guests that we have here are leaders of regulatory, self-regulated bodies in Nigeria. I know Mr. Chuta is that of Blockchain Nigeria User Group, Mr. Loki Owako is that of Beacon, and Mr. Obinna Iwuno is that of CBAN. What actions? We see that all these things are really, this is fire on our own shores here. It's really affecting the industry here, and we want this industry to prosper, to grow. And like you said earlier on, we have not even matured to talk about ETF and all that. So I would like to hear from you first, Mr. Lucky. Are there some actions that you guys are, as a group, the associations, the unions, Beacon, CBAN, and BNOG, have taken to approach regulators on what is currently happening?
Yes, there's some internal work that's currently ongoing to address that, both from the angle of regulators and from the angle of Beacon as a coordinating committee. Basically, there have been some plans in coming days about some of our publications, and some of our members would also go on different media platforms. This is also an example of one of them, right? We'll go out on some media platforms, some of our points, and probably some of our wish and hope with the government. And of course, primarily among all things would be for us to always collaborate with the government to ensure that there is some sort of a balance, right? The industry alone, private sector led, cannot do it by themselves alone. The government also trying to hit the hammer of the law alone without the private sector cannot also achieve the desired result. But there ought to be some level of balance at both sides. So yes, Beacon is currently working on that, and in the coming days we should be seeing so many of that. And even I think Mr. Chuta will speak better in that area about some other few things that are also going to be done in terms of media. Basically, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me move over to Mr. Chuta. As BNOG, and you're also part of Beacon, what are the actions you are taking so far?
I first of all want to put your information correct, and we have an industry coordinating body for blockchain, crypto, and Web3 ecosystem in Nigeria, and it's known as Beacon, BICCON, Blockchain Industry Coordinating Committee of Nigeria. It is an interagency organization that caters for the need of every single person that plays in the space, whether you are a developer or a trader or just an enthusiast or an investor, whatever you are. It is the highest body of industry committee that you can think of when it comes to Nigeria. And that body currently, we have Lucky as the current chairman, replacing Mr. Adeolu, who represents the CIDN block of the organization. I am the vice chairman of Beacon, and I represent BNUG at Beacon. Obinna is the Secretary General of Beacon, and he represents the CBAN Association in Beacon. Okay, now we work together for the same purpose, knowing that people have the power and the right to associate wherever they feel like associating. But we wanted to make sure that we have an industry-wide, multi-focused, strong body that will represent the industry everywhere. Now, to go to your question, we are doing a lot, and part of what we want to do is to keep providing the right information, to keep advising government, to keep giving them the right insight. And we didn't start doing this thing today. We've been here for a long time. You know, I used to tell people that are hard of hearing. In other words, they don't want to hear. I had been in one of our engagements with the Central Bank of Nigeria, and the top director told me that you guys keep saying that we don't regulate, but no regulation is our regulation. And I was looking at him, Oga, kilo day now. He said, yes, not regulating is their regulation, and we should take it like that. And they told me to move away from the slides that I had to share that bordered on blockchain and crypto related issue, because they said that each time we want to talk about it, it creates problem for them and division within them. So I should move away from those slides. So I moved away from the slides. In order, they don't want to listen. Now, we are in a serious problem now, and we cannot keep emphasizing the need for them to regulate. We will be in several media houses in the next couple of days to try to correct the impressions, because crypto, blockchain, Web3 is not the problem here. It's not the problem. I mean, you can't keep blaming someone else for your own problem. Fix your house, for goodness sake. Fix your house. You will hear us in many other platforms as the week unfolds, and we'll be trying to put these things in their proper perspective. Okay, so let me not preempt myself here, but definitely the industry will speak, and the voice of the industry will definitely be heard. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Obina, do you have anything to add to this, how the associations or unions are responding?
Yeah, so we have taken an approach, both internally and coordinative approach collaboratively, you know. So because what is affecting the industry affects us all. It's not just one person. Like I cited out, if there is no regulation, even you who wants to do bad practice, on a day you become the victim, there will be nobody to save you. All right. So if it touches one, then it's going to affect all. Because let's not also look at it in the prism of who is affected. Let us look at it from what is being affected. So beyond an entity, what we are fighting for is the soul of an industry. It's a sector that has the possibility, not just the possibility, but the capacity to earn this nation billions of dollars in generated revenue if it is well structured. Like you already know, Nigeria leads the adoption in Africa. In fact, Nigeria alone holds over 60% of the adoption in Africa. And we are amongst the top 3 in the world. So that is huge. That is something to be looked into and looked out for, right? So the industry, this technology has passed the space, it has passed that stage of tossing to and fro. This technology is at the stage of a roundtable conversation and discussion on how can we use this technology to solve problems that it has the capacity to. We are talking about primarily job creation that the industry will provide. We are talking about economic development, contribution to our GDP. We are talking about the revenue that will be generated from it. We are talking about solutions because it's a technology, an emerging one for in the 21st century. And it is the one technology that is able to absorb every other sector. That is huge. This technology positions Nigeria and Africa at an advantage where we are able to leapfrog and level up with the rest of the world. This technology has given us that opportunity. It is one that needs to be taken advantage of. And this is what we have been doing at CBAN. And we are very committed to it. And now we are coordinating together for the industry to make sure that we are dealing with these issues appropriately.
Thank you very much for that contribution, because we have a limited time and we want to also hear from our audience as well, and also get some of the questions, because the questions I've been asking are the questions directly from my team, the Coinage Extra team. So let's look at some of the questions that are coming in here from our audience. I know LawyerNet, a wonderful perspective. Victoria Chino, so Sims network is disturbing. Okay, Joseph Ade is asking, why do Binance feel bigger than Nigeria government? All I see is Binance is pride. They can't try it in USA. Why is it like this, please? So someone is asking, I don't know where this person is coming from. Is there anything anyone wants to add? TK?
I don't know if the person is still on the call. I would like to say I don't believe Binance is prideful. I would like to correct your stance. I don't know if you play in the crypto space, and I think this is almost 10 decades of me playing in the crypto space. A company that came into Nigeria was willing to play according to the to what the demands of the people were. They built their platform to suit us as Nigerians. They provided their services. They helped us in a couple of ways. They provided education. They employed people. I don't know if that is called pride. For me, I think that is called they want to sleep with you on the same bed and be your friend and be your family. And I've seen them do a lot of trainings with our local associations like CBAN and Beacon. They've partnered in trying to train some of our agencies in financial, how to help curb financial crime with in the crypto space. So I don't know if this is what you call pride, but if you don't know, I'm just trying to lecture you on what Binance have been doing. They've done charity events also, even in the country. So if this is what you call pride, I don't know whether that's what you mean. You have to go and look at what the issue with Binance and the US government was properly before you come and liken it to the issue the Nigerian government is having with Binance. They are two complete issues. And I think Mr. Lucky Wakwe has done justice to what that is. So Binance is not prideful. I don't feel if you send two executives to come to the country to speak with the government, where they now arrest them, I don't believe that is pride. That means that you want to come and speak. You want to come and liaise. You want to come and understand what the government really wants from you. And I think for me, this is an ambush. That's what I'll call it. Sorry to say. So please, if you interpret all of these things I've talked about as pride, I don't think I can help you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. Wobodo Anthony is asking, what is the reason for banning Binance at first? Is there any central body guiding Binance? That's the question from Wobodo Anthony. Is there anyone that can take that?
Yes. Binance being delisted or blocked or banned is as a result of the government concern that people were or be the change or the rate of naira to dollar is now being pegged or paired by comparing whatever they see as rate on Binance as now the real rate all over the country, courtesy of the change accusation. That's one. All right. And then with whatever the government had believed, they felt like it was need to also cut that source of data, which led to them cutting it out. Lastly, let me hammer on the most important part of that question. Is there a body that regulate, or is there a body that this type of business or people ought to belong to? The answer is we have, for example, the Blockchain Industry Coordinating Committee of Nigeria, Beacon, and so many other main bodies, because that Beacon is more of a coordinating committee of other bodies. They exist. But the unfortunate part is for a lot of these platforms, when they serve a market like Nigeria, they do not see the need of why they should be part of them. From Binance to OKX to Coinbase to KuCoin and any other one that serves the Nigerian market, they have no regard for local growth. They have no regard for local organization. They have no regard or respect whatsoever for the amount of work that have been done by local communities to ensuring that this country, or to ensure that a particular nation's blockchain and crypto community have been built. All they are more interested in is who will help them promote their project, and that perhaps that would be the only basis for why they would even sponsor or even partner with you. If you tell them right now to go to a place like Lake Chad and set up and open up, they won't go there because nobody have done the community or grassroots work. So a lot of times the body exists, but this platform do not see the need for it. And I hope maybe this might also serve as a good opportunity for them to see the need why they would come. It is still worrisome that an impact of this magnitude, they never even saw the need to say, hey, where are the blockchain communities? How do you understand the situation of what is going on and all that? Maybe they have their own means and resources, but now probably the industry will now be part of those who speak on behalf of just to preserve the entire ecosystem, because we also know that what affects them might also affect us. And yes, it should be a wake-up call for the person who asked that question. Bodies exist, but all of them, not one, all of them, especially the foreign ones, they have no regards, or they see themselves as being too big. But if you go to other nations like in America, they are all part of one form of consortium or the other, where they are either pushing certain agenda or lobbying. But when they come to Africa, they see no regard to either support a lot of the associations or self-regulating body, which is bad. And it is important that they must stop and change their approach, hopefully when all this settles.
From Shark Tech, why is Nigeria going against only Binance? Because the issue they cause same as the others. Please do clarify. Mr. Chuta, can you take that? Or anyone can take it.
Okay. Chuta, you want to take, or should I?
I think, okay.
Chuta, go on if you want to take.
No, it was me that was speaking. I think Mr. Chuta.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, please go ahead.
Binance is, they are not necessarily going against Binance alone. That's the truth. There is probably more than one exchange that have been blacklisted, but it's just that Binance happened to be the most popular exchange in the world, and it made a lot of sense to probably go for the biggest among them all. And moreover, the accusations that are currently coming from quarters like the Bureau de Change have stated specifically that they copy or take their rates or queue from platforms like Binance. That's not to say that Binance is the only ones that have been blacklisted so far. The answer is no. So many other exchanges, if you try to access any of the popular other exchanges aside Binance, especially for the foreign ones, you can't actually access them from a normal internet provider, right? And that shows that there are more than one that they are going after. But the fortunate or unfortunate part of that scenario happens to be that Binance will come and discuss. And even though they did that voluntarily as a company, we also heard as an industry or as a body or as a player, just like every other person heard the news that they were even in the country by sending executive and then trying to know how they can probably resolve the issues between.
Thank you, Mr. Lucky. Thank you very much. I'll move over to the next question. Is it Puzzle Studio? What if the same event occurs with Binance happens with other crypto intermediaries? I know he's making a comment. Next question here, Ken Chukus. Please, regarding the regulation, are Nigerian blockchain companies paying same with foreign companies? He asked another question. I think these steps Nigerian government are taking to checkmate and the charge of these foreign crypto companies should be the main work of the blockchain association in Nigeria. Waiting be the work of them. So who can take the Mr. Chuta, do you have anything to say about that?
Oh my God.
Hello.
When it comes to Nigeria, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Can you?
Your network is breaking, Mr. Chuta. Your network is breaking.
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, it's okay now. You can go ahead, please.
You can hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Change my network and use something else. I mean,
But I think this one is better.
This one is okay now.
Something else.
Okay, I don't know if Mr. Chuta is talking.
Okay.
Or...
Please go ahead. Anyone can take the question while he changes.
Okay. So the person who asked the question, that the blockchain association is supposed to be doing this, waiting be the work of them. You see, that is the reason why we have called for regulation. We all have stated what some of the challenges are, and some of the problems, and like Lucky rightly mentioned, all of these companies, all of these organizations, they operate in other countries outside Africa. And I tell you, they do not behave the same way that they do here, right? And the reason is because our government has indirectly created an environment that enables them to operate without accountability to anybody. We have reached out to a lot of them. In fact, one of them told us that part of their corporate policy is not to join an association. Meanwhile, in Europe, they are members of the blockchain associations in Europe, And then the others will tell you that they cannot take any decision on that because they don't call the shots. They are just employed to oversee the operations here in Nigeria. But that is easier if we had had a regulation, because the moment there is regulation in Nigeria, it means that they cannot come in and operate without a license. And the moment that is in place, then you cannot tell the blockchain association that you want to operate in the country and you would not be a member of the blockchain association, because first of all, the blockchain association is a partner to the regulator. In fact, it is even illegal for you as a private organization to approach a regulator directly. It is illegal and it's against the law. That is why bodies are formed to represent the industry. You cannot find a situation in Europe where you hear that a private organization is speaking with the regulator or having meetings with the regulator. No, they always go through the body. So the first people that can strengthen us to call the foreigners to order is the regulators and the government. For our local players, they don't have issues because we are all members of the local entity. So we have already implemented our own self-regulation and how to operate as local players to protect ourselves and grow our industry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sorry to cut you short there. Just before we wrap up the show, I will give each and every one of our panelists 2 minutes each to express their opinion to what is going on. There may be some questions that I didn't capture, or the questions from the audience didn't capture, and you have in mind that you want to voice that. I'm going to be giving them 2 minutes each to do that. I start with Mr. Chuta Chimezie. Just closing, what do you have in mind? What's your closing remarks?
Okay, so I want,
okay,
I want to encourage. Can't you hear me?
Go ahead, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, so I want to encourage everybody who is doing crypto to go about doing his crypto without any fear. Because there's an Igbo adage that says that if one is not carrying oil, he cannot throw away oil. Okay, so you have nothing to really be scared about. Crypto was not designed with centralized exchanges in mind. Remember that. Crypto was not designed. When Satoshi Nakamoto was releasing his white paper on Bitcoin, he said it's going to be a peer-to-peer network. In other words, crypto is designed to be peer-to-peer. Okay, so when we have centralized exchanges have issues like this with government and regulators, these things are bound to be, because this is part of the original vision of Bitcoin, which drives most of the crypto adoption that we saw. So it's P2P. So I will encourage you to find platforms where you could trade with people and ensure that you have escrow embedded in it. You don't have anything to worry about, but stay away. I repeat, stay away from anything that looks as if you are enabling money laundering or fraud. Make sure that you stay away from anything that will make it look as though you are using crypto to commit crime, because we cannot protect you when you are doing what is wrong. Clearly, a lot of people do these things in the industry, and it's not proper. It's not proper. There are people who go about talking to politicians, talking to government executives, and telling them there is a way you can take money and use crypto to hide it or move it to somewhere. You are not telling them the truth, because crypto is easy to be traced. The day that Binance is going to release a document that shows the authenticated, verified users of their platform, you'll be shocked at the number of people, of the kind of people that you're going to see there. You will hear the big names that you were maybe thinking that they don't know about crypto. You see all of their names listed there. Okay, so don't put your hand in any criminality using crypto, because you will just give up yourself one day. I'm telling you. So do the right thing. Find a escrow environment that you trust and do your transaction there. It's normal for you to want to onboard and off-ramp, on-ramp and off-ramp your local currency. There's nothing wrong with it. It's done everywhere in the world. Even Nigeria, we do all these things every day, and it's not illegal at all. What is illegal is using crypto to enable criminality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I want to hear from you, Mr. Obinna. What's your closing remark?
My closing remark is that the government should heed our call for regulation of the industry. The lack of regulation in this space is hurting the industry more than it is enabling it. With regulation in place, most of these challenges that we are talking about today, banning, unbanning, locking, opening, and all of that, will be done away with, because we are partners in progress. We are not anti-progress. We are not anti-regulation. We do not want any form of illegality to exist within our space. We have set up committees, groups, bodies, teams to fight fraud, to fight scam, to checkmate bad actors in this space. We want these things, these actions of ours, to be empowered. And this is the role that the government plays. The government's role is to create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. They do that through policies and regulations. Government is hardly responsible for funding and financing. Yes, government can contribute into that, right? But the major role that government plays is to create an enabling environment that enables anything that is needed and everything required to make an industry thrive to come in. And this is what we do not have yet. We do not have that enabling environment for the ecosystem to thrive. And we are playing with the adoption rate that Nigeria is carrying.
Okay, sorry. Thank you very much. Because of our time, it's 2 minutes. Let's move to Mr. Chike. Mr. Chike, what's your closing remark? I'll move over to Mr. Lucky Wape. What's your closing remark?
Yes, my closing remark to the people and to the government of Nigeria is the fact that they must understand that the industry or blockchain is not just crypto only. The Web3 space is much more bigger than just crypto only. And as such, the way and manner to which they would handle this matter in relation to the biggest exchange in the world will send a signal to other Web3 companies. other businesses or startups that depend within this ecosystem stand a high chance of losing out if not handled correctly. They also owe it as a duty to continue to communicate to Nigerians and even for the foreign investors that Nigeria badly need at this point about where Binance must have erred or flawed. The reason is just so that when people are discouraged, they can understand that they have no worries coming to invest in Nigeria or the people of Nigeria, but only when they do something that is out of place, and they can give examples and they can align it back to things. That's one. Why for the second one is I encourage every private players, especially those who are looking to invest in Nigeria, to ensure that as they come and they serve the Nigerian market, they must ensure that they partner with the local people to a large extent. And finally, to us, the user, we must ensure that we cannot take advantage of a technology that is within our possession to sabotage our nation. We are first Nigerians before anything else. And as such, if there is no more Nigeria as a result of our own actions by contributing to sabotaging the country, then we stand a higher chance of being refugees.
Thank you, Mr. Lucky. Okay, thank you very much. So sorry to cut you short there. It has really been an insightful conversation. I know when all these things were happening, a lot of people were looking for information and what is actually happening, and that's why CoinExtra is here. And we're also looking to partner with the industry to push out more information about what is really happening. So thank you very much. I really appreciate our panelists, our guests. Took our time to join in us. I know I would have heard from Mr. Chike, but he is having some network issues, so we'll wrap up the show. Thank you very much, Mr. Chuta Chimeze, founder of Blockchain Nigeria User Group, for joining us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Loku Wakwe, founder of Sabi Group and the chairman of Bitcoin. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Obina Uno, President, Stakeholders and Blockchain Association of Nigeria, for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Obina.
Thank you very much, CoinExtra. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chiko Okonkwo, co-founder of Gamik. I don't know if you're still with us. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think I was kicked out by network a bit.
Oh, so sorry about that. So I really appreciate our audience who took our time. I know some questions are coming in, some people that are trying to prove it to Mr. Chike about some certain things, and we don't have enough time to go into that. Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and keep on staying connected to CoinExtra TV. I remain your host, Lee Uchomo Heri. Bye for now.